I actually hung myself in my house, and I was saved by my friend.
Like, men already do not talk about their emotions. They never talk about their emotions.
And what I realised as well, what helped me, is when things like were really bad, is realising no one's going to come save it.
Yeah, facts.
Like,
You'd be at a table having dinner together as a family. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And that is such a shame, man, because it's such an important thing as a family to sit down and eat.
Obviously now we've been in the gym all the time, do you know what I mean? It's come more full circle. You're like, well, like the stuff I used to do before I became a terrorist, like you're more into that.
We're all under the same roof. We shouldn't be hating each other, shouldn't be fighting each other. We should all be together and saying to the government, yo, this ain't right. But we can't do that, and they know they can't do that. That's why they cause so much division.
Statistics say that 90% of all relationships that start under the age of 30, they fail. 80% of men by 2030 will not actively be going out looking for a partner because they don't see the value in it anymore.
Exactly.
And that was all, I guess, to do with society as well, isn't it? Hi guys, welcome to another one of our Fitness Factory podcasts. Lovely to be back in the chair again with these two legends. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's a bit dear to my heart, I think a bit dear to your hearts as well, which is a bit of men's mental health. Obviously it's something that we all know about and no one really talks about enough, or as much as we should be. We all go through bits and bobs, I think, and we all deal with stuff. Speaking for myself, I'm sure you guys, we all do. But sometimes it's nice to just speak about some stuff. Makes you feel like you can stand up and speak as well. So I got Paul and Pablo here. Paul almost needs no interruption. He's been on this thing so many times before. But you got PT Paul to my left here. Paul. Yeah. That's PT Paul. And then some of you may know, hopefully most of you know, but some of you may not know who Pablo is. Pablo.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm Pablo.
Hey, you know what I found out the other day?
What?
Your name's Paul.
No.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it used to be.
Like, how long have I been coaching you? And my name is Paul.
Yeah.
I never knew his name was Paul. Someone messaged me the other day about coaching. He's like, "Oh, you?"
Yeah, some people say Paul.
And I was like, "He's like Paul." I'm like, "I don't train anyone called Paul." He's like, "Pablo." I was like, "You fucking way."
No, I changed it ages ago.
I see. I actually changed it.
Yes, yeah, it's been changed properly.
Pablo.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
But you used to be called Paul.
Yeah.
Why did you change it?
Because it's a boring name, isn't it? I know.
Bad, isn't it?
I know when I was at school there was like 5 other Pauls and that as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like the name.
It's
back
bad,
in
isn't
there. Yeah.
By the way, yeah, sorry.
Alright, then back to it. I'm here with Paul and Paul. No, Paul and Pablo, our in-house tattoo artist and local legend. So yeah, I think if we start with you, actual Paul,
Okay.
can you tell us, you've been through the wars and obviously, you've seen this, you've seen that, you have an incredible amount of stories from different things that have happened throughout your past.
Yeah.
And honestly,
old,
you ain't old enough. Some of them blow me away. Every time you open your mouth, I'm like, blow me now, what have you been up to? So, if you can, obviously only what you're comfortable with and what you want to talk about.
Yeah, obviously I have like a different view on like mental health now than what I did back then. So obviously, as you said, I've been that person who's been sectioned, that I have my little sisters come to get me out of the hospital more times than any little sister should, you know what I mean? So like, I've been through it and I've been to therapy, I've had Reiki healing, I've tried everything, I've read every self-help book, and I've been on them antidepressants, do you know what I mean? And none of it works until you change your mindset.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, everyone says like, and this is my personal opinion, but everyone's like, oh, you need to talk about it. And I don't think talking about it helps. Because I think when you talk about something, you then create that situation. So what we say, we create, okay? So what I found is that when I was going to therapy and I was talking about it, I was then reliving the same shit and nothing new was happening. So then when I changed the way I was thinking about things, you change your perception, you change your reality. If you constantly keep saying, I've got anxiety or I'm depressed or I'm not happy, that's the experience you're going to have. Does that make sense? You have the ability to change your experiences by the way you think, and the way you talk, because what you say creates your reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why it's called spellings. You're literally spelling words. You create the reality around you by what you say. So when I was going through all the therapy and that, like, nothing really helped. And then I was just on these tablets for a long time, and it got to the point that like I actually went like through with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually hung myself in my house, like, and I was saved by my friend. I was unconscious, got rushed to hospital. I was in there, and they said to me, like, if it had been 30 seconds later, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I fully stood in that mirror, like, taunting myself, like, in an absolute mess, and went through with it. And even after all the therapy I went through, nothing changed. I still felt the same. And it's because I kept telling myself the same problems. I was reliving the same shit. I wasn't happy about this, or your childhood, I've been homeless, all the things you've been through. If you keep saying that as a negative thing, you're going to have a negative experience.
Yeah. If
you see them things as they're making you the man you need to become, and see them as a good thing, you can change the outcome.
Yeah.
But it's all through how you control your mind.
And that's why your coaching style is mindset as well as everything else that goes on, isn't
nutrition.
it?
Once you sort your mind out and you then put the right food in, you keep saying to everyone, your gut is your second brain. You sort this out, everything changes. And once I got off the tablets and stopped telling myself I was this bad person, I wasn't worthy of stuff, and I hated myself for so many years. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all say horrible things to ourselves. When you stop doing that, you say good things to yourself, good things happen.
Yeah.
What you put out, you get back.
100%.
And that's when I read a book called Practicing the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And that book is what changed everything for me. No matter all the therapy I did, the Reiki healing, everything, that book changed the way I thought about life. From that day forward is when I started training when I was 30. And I made a conscious effort to, like, every day just be positive and do something good to where I want to become.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped doing all the shit I was doing. And 30 years old is when I first went to the gym. It was like 9 years ago.
Do you think that the method that you're talking about is a method that you think would be able to help anyone, or is that's the one that worked for you, or?
Well, I think it's about learning to control your mind, because I'll give you an example, right? You know, when you was a kid and you didn't want to go to school, yeah, and you say, I'm feeling sick, I've got a headache or whatever, right? I guarantee you halfway through that day you feel sick or you get a headache of what you've been complaining about. Because what you tell yourself, the body reacts. So if you tell yourself you're depressed, you're going to be depressed. Do you know what I mean? Like, what you tell yourself, your body reacts to, every cell in your body reacts to how you talk, and it shapes your reality around you. And when people understand that and realise the power that they have to change their situations, then they can. But they have to understand that. Do you know what I mean? They've got to want to change. A lot of people, John, don't want to change.
Yeah.
They like that feeling because they're being depressed, because they know how to handle that feeling. What people have when they're depressed is, when you're trying to become somebody new and no longer feel depressed, it's scary because it's an unknown feeling. So the brain protects you and it pushes you back, because you know how to feel when you're depressed and sad. You know how to be. You don't know how to be happy. And that's what my therapist told me. You don't know how to be happy, because when you are happy, you run away from it. And I did it my entire life, pushed everyone away that ever made me happy.
Yeah.
And then one day, I was on my knees, fucking crying my eyes out to God, like, help me. And the motherfucker did. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to change the way you think. You change the way you think, everything else around you changes, man. But that worked for me, obviously. Yeah. But I'm not saying it works for everybody, but I do think if you can control your mind, you can control the outcome of everything.
Yeah. No, I think there definitely is some truth to that. I think that, you know, they always say that if you can make your mind strong, you know, they always talk about who's got a weak mind and who's got a strong mind. And if you can work towards making your mind strong and making it think the things that you want happen, it tends to happen. It does.
Yeah. Like, you ever wanted, like, a really nice car, and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere?
Yeah.
The brain's looking for things to show you what you're telling it.
Yeah.
That's what it does. But your brain's also designed to protect you. So it looks back at past experiences. And when something starts feeling familiar or unknown, you get scared, so you don't make that jump. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I mean, that is insightful, to be fair. Like, it's not a method or something that I've thought about before in the past, but I can see how.
I just found that when I was talking to these therapists, it didn't help the long-term thing. I was still living that feeling all the time, because that's what he was talking about. You felt depressed because you go, I need to go see a therapist.
Yeah.
The best therapist is here. Do you know what I mean? When you learn to control your mind to be stronger than your emotions, that's when things change. Because if you live based off your emotions, you then become a reactive person. And when you react to what everyone says, everybody's got control over you. If someone says something to you and it like annoys you, or someone says a word and you get really offended, that means anyone can bother you. So you've got to be stronger mentally so that nothing else affects you apart from what's in here.
Yeah.
And once you learn to do that and start loving yourself and telling yourself you're a good person and good things are going to happen and just do the right thing, good things happen, man.
Yeah, yeah. But you can't just bottle up what you're feeling, can you? You can't just not talk about it. Like, I get your method is strengthening your mind and telling yourself positive things and moving past it in that regard. But like, men already do not talk about their emotions. They never talk about their emotions. Like, you don't go to your mate's house, go to the pub, have a chat with your lads and be like, oh guys, I'm feeling low today, or I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that.
But why would you? Because everyone has low days. So every time we have a low day, we're going to moan about it.
I don't think it's moaning about it though, isn't it?
But it is, because no one actually wants to listen, John. That's the problem. They say they do, but they don't.
Yeah, they do.
The reality is people don't.
So you're telling me that you've got best mates out there, or you've got family members that they don't want to listen to your problems. They don't want to help you.
They listen for a little bit. But the reality is people
they'll listen. I think as well. Yeah, they'll listen once or twice, but then after that they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's always depressive. This guy's always whining on."
It's an energy.
Joey,
If
this
you're
guy's always
depressed,
saying the
you're
same
giving
shit.
out the energy. People don't want negative energy.
And you're making them feel down and depressed because you're giving off that same energy towards them.
So is that something that you've personally sort of dealt with in the past? Is that
because, like, I think this is one of the reasons why me and Paul connected so well, because I've always been, I've always, not now, but before in the past, I've always been like quite a down person. Do you know what I mean? I've always like had thoughts of like suicide, thoughts of taking my own life. Went to therapy before, and it was the same thing when I went to therapy. It didn't help. It didn't help at all, because they'll dive into all this stuff and you're telling them all your problems, and then you're reliving it in a sense. Do you know what I mean? It's not helping at all. When I went to therapy, it made you feel worse, like a hell of a lot worse than what you did before. And it wasn't until obviously started getting trained by Paul, I started to think differently then. And then I go to Zainab here, and like, it kind of is therapy, but it's not. But Zainab does the mindfulness, and that's the only thing that I find myself personally has helped.
Yeah, because you learn to control your mind.
Yeah, you do. And all the negative shit, I don't think about it. Like, not all.
right?
But I don't think about anything negative at all. Even down to like music, I don't listen to the same music I listen
Me
to
neither.
because it's negative. Do you know what I mean? Like, I used to listen to like rap music and heavy metal, but they're all saying negative shit. It's like, now I listen to drum and bass because I won't let the negative shit come into my mind, because then it's like, the more negative you think about, it's controlling your body.
That's why I listen to opera music when I train.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I listen to like quite a bit of opera and stuff. I never listen to the radio. I never watch the TV. Like, all that negative shit you don't need it. Like, I'll give you an example, right? If you hold a bottle of water in your hand, okay, and imagine this is your bad feelings. You hold that for 10 minutes, it's probably not going to do much.
I like this analogy.
You hold that for 10 hours, your arm's going to start to feel pain, okay? You hold that for 10 years, your arm's no longer working.
Yeah.
That's your negative thoughts holding you back. You've got to everyone has negative thoughts, but every thought you have isn't the truth. We have like over 90,000 thoughts a day. I think some shit and I'm like, what? Well, I would never do that. But like, we all have weird thoughts. Do you know what I mean? If we believed every thought we had, but for some reason we just focus on the negative, because we always believe the negative stuff about ourselves. Someone says a positive, it's hard to accept it sometimes. But the world's so negative, and you need to then get out of that. And you can only do that by controlling your own mind.
Yeah.
And controlling what you listen to, controlling what you put out there.
But then at the same time, isn't that it's almost like a way of holding it in or pushing it down and not thinking about it, isn't it? So
No,
surely,
it's
like,
not
long term,
listening
that can't be healthy.
What can't be healthy?
Like, literally not talking about it ever,
No, but
pushing it down.
you talk about it within yourself. Do you know what I mean? So when I have negative thoughts, I'm like, okay, I have down days, but I still get upset about shit, John. Do you know what I mean? I still have bad days. Like, everybody has bad days, but then I'm like, I could be in Palestine right now.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much to be grateful for, man. Why am I sitting here moaning because I've got to go to work? I should be grateful I've got to go to work. And when you change the thought process and be grateful for the shit you've got, you're more grateful things will happen. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people just moan about so much stuff and create this negative energy around them instead of just being positive.
Sometimes you know that sometimes it's easier said than done, though, right? You can't just go out into the world and be like, okay, it's been a shit day. Something really shit has happened in my life. You know, whatever that could be. You know, someone has died in your family or something. You know, grief is the most difficult one. That's the most difficult one to get past, I think.
Yeah.
Losing something. So you can't just expect, okay, you know, this is gone. This is not happening anymore. But despite that, I'm just going to try and be happy. You know what I mean? To me, that just seems like pushing in on your emotions, not thinking about it, putting it to the back of your mind. And if you don't discuss it and you don't talk about it, then it's just going to sit there and linger and grow.
Okay, I agree. But how many times are you going to talk about it?
Ah,
There we go.
there you go.
Yeah, that's where it
I think you have to get it out there, surely.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, when you get these thoughts and these feelings,
Yeah.
deal with it, and then it's done with, and move forward. I lost my
You need,
sister
you need to be
last
past
year.
it quick.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And like, shit happens, man. Like, she's never coming back. But I have two choices. Like, as much as you can choose to be sad, you can also choose to be happy. It's a choice.
I think as well, it's the way you process stuff, Joe. I mean, you need to learn to process stuff quick and then move past it. If you're not processing it quick and you're constantly in that circle of like, this is happening, that's happening, this has happened, and like 2 years down the line, you're like, oh, this happened. Do you know what I mean? And that whatever happens, you still reliving it. Do you know what I mean? You still living these negative emotions because you're not processing it. You need to learn to process that, and then you put it to the side because you processed it, then you can just move on. But I know it's like, it does seem quite, to a lot of people, it does seem quite a weird thing, but like, obviously I'll go to Zainab because she coaches you how to do it during the process of mindfulness as well.
Yeah.
And for me, myself, I find that's helped more than
So like, it's not
anything
just
at all.
something that you can just say, okay, today.
No,
I'm gonna be
you
happy.
can't
You
just
have
wake
to
up.
learn.
Yeah, you have to learn
okay,
it.
right.
But also in the process as well, you have to remove, it's called limiting factors from the past. Do you know what I mean? You need to like heal your inner child in yourself, and then anything else that happens, you're healed from your past, so you can just move on. But you remove these limiting factors, and then once you've done that, you've realised how to remove like more limiting factors in your life now, like quick. Where it'd be like, I don't know, say you had a car crash today. Do you know what I mean? Instead of like constantly going on about, oh, I've had this car crash, I can't walk, I've lost my leg. Like, you'll learn to just like get past it quicker,
Yeah.
like a lot quicker.
Yeah. No, I mean, mindset is, you can tell that mindset is definitely a strong thing. Like,
Mindset and nutrition, man.
Yeah.
nutrition.
Nutrition's everything. If you eat the right food, you'll think differently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll act differently. When you're filling your body with bad foods, you're going to feel bad. Like, an interesting fact for you, okay? For one course of antibiotics increases your risk of depression by 25% within the next year. If you have 2 courses, it's up to 45%. How many people take antibiotics all the time when they think they've got something wrong with them?
Antibiotics, why?
Because it kills your gut bacteria. That's how antibiotics work. So because they strips all your good bacteria out your gut to kill everything, you've now got no good bacteria in your gut, which then affects your brain, causes depression. Do you know what I mean? Everything is linked to what we put in our mouths, everything. Do you know what I mean? You control the food, you can control a lot, do you know what I mean? But when it comes to like depression, I'm not saying like people don't get depressed. I'm not saying these things don't exist, because obviously they do. I've been there, do you know what I mean? All I'm saying is from my personal experiences, yes, you can talk about it and deal with it, but you can't keep talking about it. You can't keep going on about 10 years down the line, blaming, oh, the reason I didn't get here because I had a bad childhood.
Because,
Do you know what I mean? Or, oh, my ex left me and I'm still in this situation. Or these things have happened, so I'm still in these bad situations. That's where people get stuck, and they keep reliving these cycles, and then they'll move on, and they keep having the same cycles throughout their lives until they learn the lessons that they need to learn to move into a higher field, basically, if you believe in that stuff.
But that's where like the limiting factors come into place, because people are like, I can't go outside because I'm depressed. I can't do this because I'm depressed. I'm not saying they're not depressed, but they use it as a thing so they can't push past it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you put yourself into this category, whether it's depression, like anything, you put yourself into a certain category. So like, your fear of moving past that is what's pushing you past it. And until you learn to like control those limiting factors and push yourself past it, like, you won't really get anywhere.
It's weird to think that people feel more comfortable in a state of being depressed and
Yeah.
sad rather than in a state of being happy. And I've always thought that that's because happiness is fleeting. It doesn't last. You know what I mean?
But isn't that
So-
the beauty of being a human, though?
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? You got to.
You need to feel
If
these
every
things.
day was a good day,
It wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah.
no day would be a good day.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You got to
So-
embrace the bad days as much as the good days.
Yeah, and that I think is the thing that's easier said than done, isn't it? It's taking those negative emotions, and
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
those
yeah.
negative feelings.
Yeah, it's
and
not. It's not easy. It's not something that you're going to do simple.
exactly.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I want to. For the moment, I want to feel these things.
Yeah.
So that when that changes and when something good comes along, I can feel that even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's positive out there, but sometimes it just feels like that positive is at the top of a mountain, and you're at the bottom, and you got to push a boulder from the bottom to the top. And sometimes you get halfway up, and you're like,
But if it was, yeah, but of course.
I think that is mindset, though, isn't it? That is strength.
yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going to get there? But how does someone who doesn't have that strength gain that strength? Do you think that's the limitation? Do you think that people ultimately, well, guys anyway, that's why they lead to, things like taking their own lives or getting deep into depression, because they don't feel like they have that strength, or they physically don't have that strength to move past it?
I think the reason why guys' suicide rate in men is high is a lot more complicated than just that. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of reasons as to why, and I think the way society is today has a lot to answer for that. The way the division between men and women has become so great, and I think there's a lot to do with that. Do you know what I mean? But it is a serious problem. I think I read something the other day, like it's nearly like 200,000 men have committed suicide since the 1st of January.
Yeah.
Wow,
Which
really?
is wild. Do you know what I mean?
Bloody hell.
So it is a serious problem, but how people deal with that, I think, is a very individual thing. Some people can talk about it, but ultimately you've got to change the way you think about the problem.
Because I think particularly when it comes to suicide, I know it's a touchy subject, but I think like opening up about suicide won't stop it. Like I could ring Paul today and be like, I'm thinking about killing myself, but like he'll probably come over, we'll chat, but only stop it that day. It's not going to stop it tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? If I really wanted to do that, I know that I'm eventually going to do this. Do you know what I mean? I'm eventually going to kill myself. So like opening up about it isn't really going to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Do you know what I mean? Because obviously you've got these thoughts and these plans in your head, and like you keep them to yourself because you know you are going to do this. And obviously you do open up. It's not taking away that. It's just like you've opened up for that one day. You might not feel better that one day, but it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
So unless you like completely try and change your mind, those thoughts are always going to be there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you've got to deal with the root cause of the problem.
Yeah.
What's making you feel like that? And I think if a lot of people took a step back and looked at their lives, they'd see why they're not so happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people go to a job that they're not happy doing. Now, if you're doing something you don't enjoy doing, 5 days a week, like it's got to be 80% of your life or whatever. Like most of the time, you're going to a place that you're not happy. That's going to have a massive effect on everything else around you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, as much as it is having a strong mindset and having this and everything else, you have to fill your life with those positive factors as well, don't you? You know, if you are living an unhappy life,
I think
you will not be
the
happy.
key to happiness, for me personally, is like fulfillment. You've got to, as a man, you've got to be striving for something. Do you know what I mean? There's something you've got to be aiming for. So that's what gets you up every day. And what gets me up every day is obviously my business, the training, all these sort of things. And people need something to work towards, so they feel they're always getting better at something. That's what men need. Do you know what I mean? And men that don't have that usually put women at their forefront, and they chase women. Do you know what I mean? And that's where they get their thrill from, by constantly chasing women. That's why they say you have a build with a busy man, or you babysit a broke one. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
So a man who's fulfilling his purpose and he's busy and pursuing something, he hasn't got time to be depressed. Do you know what I mean? Because he's working on something. Men that are depressed are usually sitting at home on Xbox, not really achieving anything, not really doing much. There's a big difference. Do you know what I mean? If I was sitting at home all day, like I used to be when I was a chef, like drinking, doing all the things I shouldn't be doing, sitting at home playing it, not really doing much of my life, because I wasn't happy in my job no more, that's what caused all these issues. And when I changed my job and started doing what I wanted to do, which was obviously be a bodybuilder and PT and all this sort of stuff, things became better because I was doing something that I wanted to pursue. So now I don't mind doing the crazy hours and working all the time because it's also what I love to do.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that for somebody that you don't love to do it for, who doesn't really care about you,
Yeah.
it can make you think, like, what the fuck am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? And people get down and depressed.
Yeah.
And life's hard and it's busy and it's stressful and it's expensive and you've got kids. There's a lot that can get people down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not easy.
And when you were back working as in that chef's job, did you
Yeah.
feel like you were stuck in that job? Like, because obviously you didn't have qualifications to move into anything else, and
No, so obviously initially, like, chefing is what I wanted to do. It was like my passion.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
But then once I'd like made it as, like, you know, I'd won my awards and I was head chef and things, there was nowhere else I could go.
yeah.
So
Progression
from-
stopped.
Yeah, literally. So for me then to do what I do now, there was a lot of things I had to change.
Yeah.
So I was working as a chef and they worked crazy hours as well as trying to do PT around that for like 2 years to build it up alongside to get clients, and I had to make sure I'd paid off like a lot of things so there wasn't much outgoings because obviously as a PT you don't know when you're getting paid. There wasn't that guaranteed income no more.
Yeah.
So I had to, obviously on a financial level I had to deal with a lot of things. But it's what I wanted to do, so I wrote a list down, and every day I just tried to do something towards that to eventually get me from where I was to where I wanted to be. So yeah, it's not easy for one. And the worst thing is, for somebody who's like super qualified and earning a good salary, it's even harder for them to transition out because the more money you earn, the more debt you get.
Yeah,
The more debt you get, you've got to earn that money. So you can't just change your job if you get bored or if you want to try a new career. And people find themselves stuck doing a job they hate for years just to pay a bill on a house, and you wonder why people are depressed.
yeah,
The blueprint
yeah.
of life is wrong.
Yeah.
Because if it was correct, the people that make it wouldn't be all pissed off killing themselves and doing all weird shit, and everyone else would be happy trying to get there. But no one's actually happy because the blueprint of how we should live our life, it enslaves you and keeps you in debt, and then you have no freedom. Do you know what I mean? You've got to remember, it's never how much money you earn, it's how much money you have left.
yeah,
You know, if someone makes £2,000 a month or someone makes 50 quid a week, if you're spending more,
yeah.
and he's got more left, he's making more money.
Because essentially, what you're owing for most people in the UK and probably most people in the world, what you owe to someone, if that be a mortgage or loans or everything else, is way more than you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone is far more debt than they have, which then obviously causes stress and causes them to work in these silly jobs doing things that they don't like and leads to
And causes all these
things.
other issues.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Give me 1 sec, guys. Try pause that shit. Pablo, you weren't always a tattoo artist though, just running off the job thing, were you?
No, I wasn't always a tattoo artist. Before I was a tattoo artist, I just had like dead end jobs. And then after that, I went back to college. I did sports science.
Yeah.
I did sports massage therapy. And then I went to uni because I wanted to be PT. And I did applied sports science. But then I left that to keep going.
Yeah. And do you feel like where you are now, what you've ended up, the job role that you have now, is probably the best one that you've had, or?
Yeah, I'd say it's the best one I've had. But obviously now we've been in the gym all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's come more full circle. You're like, well, like the stuff I used to do before I became a tattooist, like you're more into that. Do you know what I mean? The gym and like everything else.
Yeah.
And that as well.
But I mean, you're in quite a lucky position because you're doing a job that you do enjoy,
Yeah,
and you are getting along well. But then your other interest, the gym.
yeah. I work.
You're in the
it's
gym.
yeah, because obviously it helps so much because every bit of spare time I get, I can go to the gym.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
like
yeah.
say I was working before in a different shop, you had an hour break, you'd be sitting around eating.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to eat. Or I'm just sitting around doing nothing. But here, you've got an hour break, I've run in the gym. Do you know what I mean? So I think
Exactly.
that,
So you can really commit yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
They always talk about how good exercise is for your mental health, and that it is a must. And if you're not exercising, you're not going to have good mental health at the end of the day.
It releases a protein. I can't remember the name of the protein, but the nickname is called Hope Protein.
Right.
So when you train, the body releases these proteins, and it basically makes you feel good. Essentially,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Training is the best thing.
But like, I think we've spoke about this before. Like, I do believe it is good for your mental health, like training in the gym. But like, it depends on your mental health. It's only really like a coping mechanism. I find myself. Like,
Right.
do you know what I mean? I train today and I feel sick. If I didn't train tomorrow, I'd feel a bit shit. Didn't train the day after, I'd feel fucking worse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you get like
you can't rely
not an
on it.
addiction, but
Yeah.
you get as if like I need to train to feel good.
Yeah.
I want to train to push away this pain. Do you know what I mean? So unless you're getting to the root cause of what's causing this in yourself,
Yeah.
like the gym will just become a coping mechanism. Like people who drink all the time, that's their coping mechanism.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
People with drugs, that's their coping mechanism. And although like, the gym is good and you'll have a good body, unless you get to the root cause, you'll just have a good body and be depressed.
Yeah. So
At the end of it.
it's almost like it's just distracting you from everything else
Yeah.
that's going on.
Yeah, yeah,
like when you go to the gym and you work hard, your brain is thinking about working hard.
Because there's loads of people that do see it and do see, oh, I've got bad mental health, I want to go to the gym, and my mental health will be gone. But unless, do you know what I mean, unless you resolve some of these issues in yourself, you can't rely just on the gym itself.
You're right. And like, personally, I found like the best way to resolve the issue of the core root of the value of everything is when you understand that everything is your fault.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I think that's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when they do, they'll do the work on themselves.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what I've realised as well, what helped me, is when things like were really bad, is realising no one's going to come save you.
Yeah, facts.
Like no one is going to come save you. No matter who's around you, the only person that's going to save you is yourself. And when
Yeah.
you realise that, you will push for it.
When you
You'll put
when
the
you
work in.
say that the only person that can save you is yourself, like what do we specifically mean?
like,
there?
like from I'd say like from your own mind. Do you know what I mean? From the
Yeah.
way you're feeling, from your own mind, how maybe depressed you are. Like no one's going to save you.
Yeah, because
You need to save yourself.
Dave from the end of the street can give you a bit of advice.
Yeah, that's it.
And you can take that advice, take it on board, and do all the things that you said.
Yeah,
But if it's the mindset thing coming back to it, isn't it? If you don't change that, if you don't put effort into changing and helping yourself, nothing's going to change,
Yeah.
is it? You're just going to sit in the same bubble.
yeah,
So that's where like therapy can be good though, because obviously therapy will help you understand where the problems happened. So obviously they'll dive into, your childhood or whatever it may be. So in that sense, it can help you understand where the problem is, but you need to deal with it, like Pablo was saying, quickly.
Yeah.
Because if you keep going on about it for months and months down the line, then you're stuck in that cycle. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to understand what the problem is, and the problem is you. Everything is your fault. Because when you realise that, like he was saying, no one's going to come and save you, no one's going to do it for you. Every decision you've ever made has resulted in where you are now. So the life you have around you, the children you have, your partner, your job, everything around you, your home, if you're homeless, everything is because of what you have thought.
Because you could go running around saying, "Oh, this was this person's fault that I ended up in this
Completely, yeah.
situation," or it's the
Childhood.
government's fault that I'm here, that I have to pay this tax, or blah blah blah, whatever.
We've all got the same problems.
Everyone's in the same boat.
Everyone's got the same problems, and no one.
But isn't that more of a reason to talk about it to whoever? Because if everyone's in the same boat, then surely we're all in the same position to be able to say, okay, you know what? I know how you're feeling. I know what you're thinking.
Because it's very
That's
individual.
valid.
yeah.
Just because everyone has very similar issues, like with debt and money and children, childcare, all this sort of stuff, or depression, it's still very individual. Because what would bother you may not bother me. So what would really save? We could go through the same childhood. Kids go through the same childhood, but you get two different children at the end of it, but they've had the same experiences. Because it's still down to how they think.
Yeah.
There's a Chinese proverb where they said you've got two identical twins and then an alcoholic father. And when they grew up, one of them was an alcoholic. And when he was asked why an alcoholic, the guy replied, because my father was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
His twin brother didn't touch alcohol at all. And when asked why not, he said because my dad was an alcoholic. So you can go through the same experiences but have a completely different child, a different mindset. The mind controls everything. Do you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, everything around you is down to you. Like when I was homeless, right? Like I was begging for money on the fucking streets of Edinburgh in the winter, and I was living off them. Them tin sardines you used to get.
Yeah.
Like back then, it was in Lidl. Like we're going back, like 12 years ago or something, probably longer. And it was like 9p. You get a loaf of bread for 9p, right? And I used to get this white
Wicked.
from Lidl. It wasn't good bread. But
No, bread's bread.
It was struggling, man. So I used to get this loaf of bread, and I had this guy called Nelly. He was there, and he was a Romanian guy. And we get these little tins of sardines, and then we'd sit and just literally eat tins of sardines with cold white bread. And that's what I lived off for months, because like protein and carbs, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was like the cheapest thing I could afford.
Good handle on nutrition even back then. I rate that. No.
But it wasn't like. But when I look back, the reason I became homeless was because of me. Even though the reason I was living in a flat with 4 guys, right?
Yeah.
It was all chefs living in Edinburgh. You can imagine what it's like, yeah. And on fireworks night, these decided, we lived in these big tall flats, to go put fireworks through everyone's letterbox in the building. Right? So as you can imagine, fireworks. Right? So we got kicked out of the flat. And obviously, I moved to Edinburgh, and at this point, I didn't have a job. I just moved through. We got a flat, I was going to get jobs. Before we even managed to get a job, we were there like 3 weeks, we got kicked out. Right? So we lost our deposit, everything.
Yeah.
They was all from Scotland. I was obviously from England. So they were sorted. Do you know what I mean? I was fucked. Do you know what I mean? So like, I was literally on the streets, man. You know what I'm saying? But the reason I was in that situation was because I chose to who I was living with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't blame them, even though they did it and I actually didn't do it. But I was still living there.
Yeah.
If I chose different people to live with, that may not have happened. I may not have been homeless. But I'm glad I was homeless because I learned a lot when I was homeless. Like, the shit you learn when you're on the streets to look after yourself is wild.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
So, I used to be really upset about everything I've been through, like my childhood, my mum like disowning me. My mum tried killing me when I was like 5 years old, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, doesn't talk to me, she's twisted. For years, it ate up at me, do you know what I mean? Because I was a mummy's boy, I was a proper little mummy's boy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I'm the way I am now is because I was protecting that little boy, which is why I was so obsessed with getting big and getting tattoos to protect what's in here. Because actually, as you know, and as you know, I'm very soft, do you know what I mean? So all this is just protect what that is. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But it's all a choice. We can, you know what I mean? When I could sit here still and go, oh, I've been through this, and we could all do that. But it doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
Complaining, like Ronnie Coleman said, complaining get you in second place. Do you know what I mean? If you want to make it in life, you want to do something, you got to take all that you've been through and thank God for the lessons it's shown you. Because if I hadn't been through all that, and I wouldn't be who I am now and know the things I know, and I'm quite happy with who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like now I'm actually really fucking proud of where I've come from and what I'm achieving and what I'm going to achieve. Do you know what I mean?
This is the only reason I'm smiling, because this is what I was going to say. Is like everything that I've been through. Do you know what I mean? Everything that like people would say this is a bad experience or that's a bad time. Like, I'm grateful for all of it. Like every single part of it, I wouldn't get to where I are now. Do you know what I mean? If you didn't like go through any shit, you wouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? Like trying to do like what you want to do, like in life and sorting out your life, you wouldn't be there if you didn't go through this bad shit.
Yeah.
So with the bad shit, I'm grateful it happened.
It's a difficult one
what
because
it was.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? No matter what it was, I'm grateful for it. And I know like when you go around the gym, most of the big guys have been through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why like quite a lot of bodybuilders took up bodybuilding.
All big guys are soft, man.
Because they are soft and they've been through a lot of shit.
Yeah. Which
And you use it as like a driving force. Do you know what I mean? Because like, even when you're pushing heavy weight, it's not natural. It's not natural to push that extreme heavy weight. But you use like, you can channel all that pain and that aggression and that anger through the shit you've been through into pushing that weight.
Yeah.
And that's where like it does help you. You benefit from that as well at the same time.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And that's why, like, because you're benefiting from that and learning how to channel it, that's why you also have to be grateful for that bad shit that's happened.
Yeah. And that is a tough person to tell someone that's currently going through something difficult or going through a period where they're struggling and telling them this is such a good thing for you to have. You need to have this pain. You need to have this experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you can push through it, when you push through it, you will learn and you will grow so much because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like now, the way I look at it now, and it might not be a healthy way to look at it, but if I go through bad shit tomorrow or bad shit next year, going through this bad shit again, whatever it might be, is going to help me more.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be able to channel that bad shit I might go through into the gym and achieve something even better.
Yeah.
Because if you become comfortable and you're happy, you've got nothing to channel through. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to have some pain. Like everyone is going to go through some more bad shit, but learning to channel it into something, that helps massively.
I think confronting it as well. Like you can't not attack the pain. You know what I mean? You can't not just sit there. If there's something that you think you can do about the situation that you're in, you got to do it, right? You can't just sit around and be like, oh, I'm thinking these thoughts, I could do this, but I'm not even going to bother. You know what I mean? You have to confront
people do that, don't they? Like when people get themselves into like situations, they'll tell themselves they're in a bad situation, like, or I've got no money, or I've got debt, or this, or whatever. They keep telling themselves these situations, and they just keep creating more of that situation.
Oh, you see? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you've got to find out what the problem is and deal with it, and then move forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's...
but then the best way to deal with it is just look in that bloody mirror and be like, sort your shit out, mate. And most people don't. They want to blame everybody else.
Yeah.
It's their dad's fault, or their mum's fault, or the partner's left them, or my sister's. It could be so many fucking. It could be anyone's fault.
And ironically,
it's never their own.
that's the best thing to bring you closure, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, standing up, doing the thing, talking to yourself or someone else.
When you talk in the mirror, you talk to the subconscious mind. So when you look directly into the mirror, you're talking to your subconscious mind. And when you tell yourself you need to sort your life out because how you're living isn't good, it's nobody else's fault, right? Everyone's got shit going on. Everyone could say they're depressed. I could go to the doctors tomorrow and get depression tablets.
Yeah.
I could say I've got ADHD.
Yeah.
They're so quick to give those tablets, do you know what I mean? And all the rest. Everyone's so quick to label themselves with depression or anxiety. Depression can only be caused when you think about the past, okay? And anxiety is only caused when you think about the future, because you're anxious about the future because it's the unknown. When you live in the present moment, there's no fucking problems.
That's one of the problems, though, isn't it? You know, one is not thinking about the past. That's like so impossible, man. It pops up all the time. But two, the anxiety thing, not thinking about the future in a world like this is impossible.
Yeah, it's not. But obviously,
You
like,
can't move forward like that.
But you've got to, but you've got to live in the present moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to be, that's why I say be where your feet are. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be here in this moment, okay? Yes, if things in the past can be depressing if you think about it, and things in the future will worry you and stress you out if you're worrying about it. But just know that everything you've been through, you're still here, right? So what, you're going to get there as well. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, people have gone through so much stuff that they never thought they would, and they're worrying about the future. Don't worry about the future. It's going to happen. But it's going to happen for you because it needs to happen that way to get you to where you need to be. So just enjoy the fucking ride.
Yeah.
And if you're down one day, just be down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
go, do you know, I'm having a shit day. And what? If you feel like I'm going to cry, have a cry. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do. Like, we all get down. But when you're having a good day, embrace it. And just live in the fucking moment and stop worrying so much about everything else. But because of social media, this is where you get the problem, because people look at other people's lives and how they see their living and think, oh, I wish I was doing that.
Yeah.
And people want more. People always want more instead of just being happy with what they have. And people are dreamers, okay? And people need to stop dreaming, because people that dream and don't make anything of that dream become depressed, because they're not doing anything about it, right? Instead of just going, do you know what? I'm not made to be a basketball player. I'm not made to do this. I'm just made to work in Tesco's and do a 9 to 5 and go home. But that's me happy. And just be fucking happy with whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But they're not happy because they see everything else and they want it. But they don't get it because they don't do the work to get it.
But doesn't that works against the fulfillment principle, doesn't it? Though, like, how can you be fulfilled if you want things and you're not content with what you have?
Because being
How can
fulfilled
you be fulfilled in your 9 to 5 Tesco's job?
Because some
you know
people
what I mean?
are, John. Some people are happy just doing that. Do you know what I mean? You get people that work in, I saw some story the other day, some guy worked in Burger King or something for like 27 years. You see that? And they give him like a cinema ticket.
no, I didn't see that.
Did I see it?
No.
Incredible.
It was like this Burger King employee, were there for like 27 years or something, never had a day off. And then at the end of it, they gave him this like little bag of like goodies.
Yeah.
And it was like some little sweets and like a packet of crisps or something and a cinema ticket. And the guy was like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? But obviously, he was happy.
Yeah.
Some people are just happy having an easier life.
Yeah.
Some people want more. You just got to decide what it is you want.
And I think you've got to decide what fulfills you, because at the end of the day, we all talk about like jobs and making money and everything else, but some things that fulfill people can be outside of that.
Yeah.
Can be just being in a relationship, or can be
Whatever it is
having
to you.
kids or whatever else it is. You know, it doesn't have to be a career and making
But they're
millions and driving a
but they're
Lamborghini.
told they are, John.
That's
the problem.
yeah.
So they're told that you need to be this successful person, you need to be making this much money, you need to be living, because they're shown that all the time. Do you know what I mean? So that's what's causing a lot of people to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I guarantee you, if social media didn't exist, cut it off tomorrow, I guarantee you within about a few months or something, most people wouldn't be so depressed. you know what I mean? Because everyone's looking for more than what they have. You've got Instagram, and how many half-naked women on Instagram 24/7?
Yeah.
I literally go on and I click the uninterested. So you go onto my Instagram, it tells you all these come up. I click uninterested, so it's stop. I don't want to fucking see it. Do you know what I mean? I don't care about shit like that. But so many people are looking at all this information coming through their phones about the lives that all these other people are living, and they're getting up in cold ass winter in Britain to go work in a factory, and you wonder why people are getting upset and depressed. Do you know what I mean? There's social media. There's a lot of times for a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to your thing about saying society is the reason why, you know, there's such a high rate of depression in men, or you know, so many men are unhappy in what they're doing because, you know, social media is now part of society and how everything works and everything else.
Well, if you go back to the 70s, in the 70s, a man could do a normal job on minimum wage, buy a house, buy a car, and provide for his family, which is how we're supposed to live, right? You can't do that today, right? Men, naturally, we want to protect and provide. That's our natural instincts. We can no longer do that because women are also out there working because we need to, because everything's so expensive. When actually, all they did that for is to tax everybody, saying just taxing the men, so they've doubled the taxes, so women now have to work, right?
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, and we lived in our natural yin and yang roles, and women was nurturing and caring, women actually want to be at home looking after their kids. No woman wants to have a kid and give it away to a childcare.
Yeah.
No woman wants to do that. I guarantee you ask any woman who's having a baby, does not want to go give that child to childcare and have someone else raise their child. Women who want children want to be at home and looking after their children because that's how they should be. And men should be out working and providing. And when people live in their yin and yang, it's natural. You won't have all this fucking chaos. Facts.
I mean, I think that's. I would say that's your opinion. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that one. Don't know if the comment section will agree with it either.
Because they're told that they want to be all these successful. Women are told that you need to be, you know, the boss bitch, all this bullshit. That's what they've rammed down their face, and that this masculine toxicity with men is bad. This is pushed on us, John. It's not happened for no fucking reason. Because why did people stay together longer in the 50s and 60s and 70s?
But it was a time period.
Why now the average relationship today is 2 years?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, John?
I don't know. You tell me. Tell me your
Because
insight.
everything's done on a contract. Your car finance, your phone finance, everything's done in 2 years. You get bored. You do the same with your partner. Back in the olden days, we built things to last, and women and men was living in their natural energies. Now we're not. Men are more in their feminine energy because they were told we need to talk about our feelings, we need to do this, we need to do that. We're not. We're fucking men. We need to be men. And when we become men and we live in our masculine energy, women are more attracted to a masculine man than they'll ever be attracted to a wet fucking sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Facts. But women are told it. But naturally, as we are designed biologically, that's how we are designed to live. But we are told by the media how we should be. And that's why there's so much division between men and women, because they've got everyone fighting each other. That's what the plan is. Religion causes fucking problems. Everything causes problems. Everything they put in the news causes problems for everybody. When you put the news on, there's ever good news. We're living in chaos because that's what they want you to do. So everyone's depressed because they can give you tablets. Cause the division between men and women. Tell women that they need to be superior and always they need to get these higher jobs and be CEOs and all this sort of stuff. And men, you need to stop being masculine because it's toxic. It's the other way around. It's bullshit. It's not how it's meant to be. Because when if someone breaks in your door, you're not going to go to your husband then. Oh, you sit down. I'll go down and deal with this. How they fuck? The man's getting up to deal with it. So they want the man to be masculine when they want the man to be masculine. And men don't have a clue what to do anymore. Do you want us to be masculine? Do you want us to talk about our feelings? Do you want us to provide? Or do you want to pay the bill? What do we do anymore? So men are like, fuck yous. I'll just be on my own and go to the gym and lift heavy ass weight.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
If everyone just got along with how they're meant to be and lived in their roles and society wasn't the way it is, there wouldn't be so many issues. If it wasn't polluting the air, and polluting the food and polluting the water, everyone would be so sick. Everyone would be angry. There would be no Tourette's. There would be no autism. All this shit has happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And when people realise that, and then they change the way they eat, they change the way they think, things will get better. That's my views, but I'm a bit fucked up.
I mean, I'm not sure if I agree with the traditional gender roles part. I mean, I think that is, it's the same reason that
I'm not
you know,
saying you, as a woman you can't go out there and get. That's not what I'm saying.
yeah.
Do what
But
you
that's
want.
what the deal was back in the 70s. So you can't say that was then, that was great. This is now. This isn't great.
No, what
you know
I'm
what I mean?
saying is, women are nurturing creatures. Men, right? Women care more about people. Men care more about things, which is why most men are engineers and mechanics and fix things, and most women are nurses, because that's what we do. Even if you took the jobs off everybody and let everyone go get their own jobs, most women would go to their natural roles, and most men would go to their natural roles. But it's how we're biologically wired. But for some reason, when you say this to people, they get fucking offended. And people only get offended because it strikes some sort of weird nerves in them. Do you know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong in being how we're designed to be. Do you know what I mean? Biologically, that's how we are wired as human beings. Women are nurturing, men fix and protect things.
Well, you definitely always give us a lot to think about, Paul. I'll give you that.
Well, I could be wrong, but I can't imagine any woman who's just had a baby would want to give that baby
Yeah, I think.
to someone else to look after so they can go back to work.
Yeah.
They don't want to. The reason they've had a baby is because they want to have a family. They don't want to be out there working.
But would you
they
say
have
that?
to.
Would you say that given that choice, would you say that men would make that choice as well? If they've just had a new baby with their partner, wouldn't they rather stay at home with their partner with the baby and both take care of it and nurture it together? Or do you think a lot of men would say, actually, I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that family role?
I think any man who's just had a child would 100% should want to be in that role. He's obviously had the child for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, true.
Because if I had a child, I'd want to be there 24/7.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm saying I can't imagine any woman would want
the same
If
thing.
I had a child,
Yeah.
there's no fucking way I want to give it to someone else to look after my child.
Yeah.
I want to look after my child.
Yeah.
I want to install my values in the way I think, not somebody else. Which is why today's kids have no discipline. Because no one's controlling nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You're not going to discipline someone else's kid. You would discipline your own kid. But
That's what I think, and I think I'm right. Do you know what I mean? I do. I think that's why relationships lasted longer in the past. I think that's why people weren't so depressed in the past.
yeah.
Obviously, depression happened, obviously, but the rise in depression and all illnesses today, and when 2025 meant to be more advanced than we've ever been, and yet every illness is through the roof.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, statistics.
It's for a reason, man.
Yeah.
Statistics say that 90% of all relationships that start under the age of 30, they fail.
Within 2 years.
80% of men by 2030 will not actively be going out looking for a partner because they don't see the value in it anymore.
Exactly.
And that was all, I guess, to do with society as well, isn't it?
It's because they want to create that division. Because when women understand and when men understand that we are better together if we live in our roles, and that once we stop hating on fucking each other and women are this and men are that, we become stronger. They don't want you to do that. That's why they put a divide through and split the families up. That's why women have to go to work. That's why they put your kids in childcare. The family unit is gone. It's not what it used to be, where you go home and you'd be at the table having dinner together as a family. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And that is such a shame, man, because it's such an important thing as a family to sit down and eat.
Yeah.
We don't get time to do it anymore. So many single mums out there, man, are working their fucking arses off, trying to make it ends meet, got kids in childcare, trying to do everything else. Do you understand how hard it is for a single mum, man? Like, it is fucking brutal. Like, and I feel sorry for all of them. It's really, really difficult. But it shouldn't be like that. But it is. And it's like that for a reason. The reason everyone's ill is for a reason. The reason we've got Tourette's and fucking autism and cancer and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's didn't exist until the fucking 70s. It all happens for a reason. And the reason is to control us. Facts.
Yeah.
So they have total control over everything. And they don't want you to get along with everybody. That's why now in the UK everyone's at each other over religion and wars and shit. It's bullshit. If we all come from Adam and Eve, technically we're all related. Facts. And they do you know what I mean? Like, we should all just be together as we're all under the same roof. We shouldn't be hating each other, shouldn't be fighting each other. We should all be together and saying to the government, yo, this ain't right. But we can't do that, and they know they can't do that. That's why they cause so much division. Because if everyone did come together and was on the same path, they have no control.
Yeah.
So they cause so much chaos, so many wars, so much destruction. Women are this, men are that, keep everyone apart. pollute the fucking food, pollute the air, pollute the water, and everyone's sick and ill and dumb. And we control everything. That is literally what's happening, and people can't see it.
Well, there we go. And that concludes our politics special.
You don't get me talking.
I know. Honestly, it's you get to a point with you, Paul, where we just continue chatting and it moves into an interesting area. But it is difficult to take your attention away from it. You're like, this guy's still going. It's crazy.
It moved away from men's mental health.
We got a good amount of that in though, so it was all right. But no, honestly, lads, it's been a really lovely one. Thank you so much for coming down. It's been a wicked little chat. Yeah. I can't wait to see the comment section. I honestly can't.
I'm ridiculed, aren't I?
I think so. Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.